Now our next guest is an award-winning science writer who studies the science of heroism. In the wake of the tragic shootings in Gilroy, Dayton, and El Paso, a few remarkable hero stories have emerged. Here to discuss these courageous acts, we have Elizabeth Svoboda. Welcome. Thank you, Elizabeth, for being here with us today. It's honestly an honor to have you here. For our viewers, just to get started, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got started in this very important topic.
Thank you so much for having me. Well, I'm a science writer, but another thing that I've always been interested in is morality, why we do the things we do. And in the California Bay Area where I live, I found out that there was a lot of research going on in this topic, why some people go to the forefront and do heroic things and others sort of fade back into the distance. And I started talking to some of those researchers, and that became my first book, which is for adults, called What Makes a Hero. And then after I did that one, I started talking to some really young heroes, people who maybe didn't even graduate from high school, but were also doing amazing things. And, you know, it really convinced me that age is no object when it comes to heroism. And that led into my book, The Life Heroic: How to Unleash Your Most Amazing Self, which is sort of a guide for kids to learn to be everyday heroes in their own lives.
That's beautiful. I know you mentioned that's a book that you have coming out soon that'll also be for children, so there's two options there. But let's go back a little bit. And you said there's a science to heroism. How does all of that work?
Right. Well, at Stanford University, there's something called the Center for Compassion and Altruism Research and Education, and they're basically studying what leads people to do good things, to boil it down to the most basic terms. And then the psychologist Philip Zimbardo, who's in San Francisco, he has something called the Heroic Imagination Project, where he's actually studying heroes. He's doing experiments where people have the chance to intervene heroically to see whether they do or not, and what factors affect that. But it's really a very new and growing field of science. I would say it pretty much didn't exist before about 10 or 15 years ago. So it's very exciting. And while I've been able to write about what's come out, I'm excited to see what's yet to come in the next few years, too.
Like you said, 10 or 15 years, it's very unfortunate that there needs to be a situation for these heroes to come out. So when you said that they're studying if, you know, the person reacts in a certain situation, is that kind of like a fight or flight?
Yeah, there's definitely a fight or flight reaction that tends to kick in when we're in a situation that's high danger or that we feel scared. And one of the things that we notice is that the heroes who do intervene, who are able to go forward and save somebody or help somebody, they are often people who have a high degree of confidence. And that comes from the kind of training that they might have to intervene in that situation. After the shootings in Dayton, for instance, I remember reading about a nurse who she was doing CPR on victims that were right there, even though she herself was still in danger. So, I mean, of course, I think oftentimes you see heroes have a lot of concern for people around them and just humanity in general, but you also see that they have these specific skills, that they have the confidence to know, I can offer this to the situation, and I'm going to go forward and do it because I can.
That's interesting that you say that it takes confidence, because I know you also mentioned you have this new book coming out that's for children. So how are children so confident to the level that they can be heroes?
Yeah, it's really interesting. I think, of course, role modeling is very important. Many of the young heroes that I talk to, they have important people in their lives, whether it's a parent or a teacher who modeled that kind of selflessness for them. But the other interesting thing is there are actually heroic education programs that are being tested in schools to see if there are ways that we can teach some of these skills. Because one of the biggest things that's come out of heroism science up to now is that we're probably not born as heroes. It really is based on things that can be learned, on skills. And one of the things that they teach in classrooms is if you sort of press like a mental pause button when you're in the situation, it just gives you those few seconds to think about, what can I do here that I'm going to be proud of? What do I want to look back and say that I did here? And just those few seconds can give you that little nudge that you need to go forward and act. So oftentimes that's what the educators encourage the kids.
Interesting. It would be beautiful to one day see teachers and see schools being able to do this, because unfortunately, I feel like that's one of the places where you might need it the most.
Yeah, absolutely. We see a lot of bullying incidents and situations. We also see sort of a lot of anti-bullying programs. And, I think with this book, what I'm trying to do is a more positive approach as well. It's not just stop bullying. It's what can I do in this situation to really help as many people as I can and maybe stop the bullying incident that way by being positive and not just, saying I'm not going to do this, but how can I help the people who are in that situation and who might need to get out of that.
That's interesting that you say so. Also, bullying is included in all of this. So what kind of topics can someone look forward to in this upcoming book if maybe they want to purchase it for someone in their life, or they can purchase it for themselves?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for me, one of the greatest things was getting to interview these real life young heroes who really are doing amazing things before they hit their 18th birthday in a lot of cases. I interviewed one young boy who, when he was 14 years old, he noticed, there's a strange glow, behind a house in my neighborhood. Is this house on fire? So he sort of went out to investigate, and very quickly he figured out that there was a little boy trapped in an upper story window.
Wow.
And Marcos, the boy, he didn't waste time. He just grabbed a ladder that was nearby. He propped it up to the house. He climbed up. He actually punched in the screen that, was there on the window. And he was able to bring the young boy down to safety. And I talked to him and I was like, wow, what enabled you to do this? And he was like, well, in that moment, I wasn't really thinking in a logical way. I just, I knew that I needed to do something quick, and I just went for it and did that. And I think for kids, they hear a lot about historical heroes or, action heroes who are fictional. And I think when you hear from real life heroes and real kids, it makes it much easier for kids to put themselves in that place and actually, feel like they could be there themselves.
Well, honestly, I feel like I could talk to you for hours about this. It's such an important topic. And if anyone wants to learn more, of course, we're going to put all the links and all the information they need so that they can get access to this very valuable information. Thank you so much for your work. We really appreciate you being here today with us.
Thank you so much. It's wonderful to talk to you and your viewers.